Hey guys, well, finally learned from my experience working late at night, and I often put work first, and that's good. But then at the end of the night, I'm just too wiped out to come and shave, and so then I do it the next day at lunchtime and all that. Well, instead of continuing that, I'm going to shave, and I bet what I'm going to have is another burst of energy, be able to get some more work done after the shave. And I am bringing a couple new things to the table here. The combination of the charcoal goods, everyday razor head, and this is a brass handle from West Coast Shaving. I just wanted to find a brass handle, and this was on sale for Black Friday, and we'll talk about that more later. And I'm going to put what's new is I'm going to put the Personna Israeli Red in that razor. It's been doing good for me. It's been performing well in the different razors I've put it in so far. What's also new is the Mood Indigo soap, and the base is Tusk, and it's the first soap I believe I ever heard about. No, maybe Higgy, I think. I could be botching that pronunciation, but I think this may have been the second Mammoth soap I ever heard of. I recently got in on this buy a week or two ago, and so I'm very glad to be able to try this out. I love the theory behind this soap, and the scent is kind of light from the dry puck, but I like what I smell of it so far. And then we've got the Oumo brush, and this is in a wolf whiskers handle. This is the Manchuria that Oumo has, and I really, really like this knot. All right, so I'm going to get this brush in water. And then we'll put this blade in, and I've got handles for this that are Charcoal Goods brand, but one of them is the maze handle, and it's just too short. It's only maybe about like this long, and it just doesn't feel right. The other one is longer. It's that torpedo handle, and it's got these ridges that are just in the exact wrong place for me, and it makes it almost dangerous for me to hold because it doesn't give me a good grip at all. And so this is one of the handles from West Coast Shaving. It's a little bit long for this razor, but it'll do the job. And of course this knurling is nice, and I'm not going to drop the razor or anything like that. The balance point is about right here, so I'll be able to hold it a nice distance away from the head and have good maneuverability as well. I don't really like this look that they've done where the handle gets wide again before it contacts the head. At first I thought, I actually ordered two of these brass handles from West Coast Shaving, and I ordered this one thinking, well, this one might work. The other one I got is that one that I've shown you before here in the stainless version, where it looks almost like a halo handle from Razor Rock, and it's got just metal bands. There's no knurling or anything, and then up here at the top it's got a swooping cutout, you know, on all sides, and then it's a lot narrower right here. It has a smaller contact patch, and that's the one that I actually thought was going to fit this head, because as you can see, there's a recessed circle there. And so I thought that other one was going to be small enough to get in there, but it's not. It's actually maybe 1/2 millimeter too big. And so if I try to tighten it down, I think it could damage the head a little bit. And so one thing I can do, put on a nylon washer, something like that. But then this one, since it's bigger by a couple of millimeters, I'm not going to damage the head by using the second string handle that I didn't even think I would need, but I went ahead and ordered because it was on sale, and I thought if the first one doesn't work, maybe this one will, and I'm very glad that I did. So that's the story behind the handle. I wanted to get the same metal so that we didn't have any kind of galling or stuff as the razor might sit in storage. So here is this Israeli Red that I've marked up, and I'm going to use it for as long as it'll let me. just see how long that'll be. So I really do enjoy this razor head, and since this razor blade has been nice for me, I'm thinking I'm going to get a good shave. Get my face wet. All right, so this is how the Mood Indigo soap looks. Oh man, I like so many things about this. There are some typically manly things that you find in many shave soaps like oud, vetiver, peppercorn, and rum. And then he also added blueberry. And I'm a big fan. I've had a few instances where something like that has stepped into a masculine type form. And I've really enjoyed it. And I don't think I'm going to be disappointed by this one either. And then he also says night sky. Now, what he did to make to try to make a night sky, I don't know. But that's part of the kind of the profile here. So let us get my brush, shake out some water, turn it into a lightly wet. This is a good soap base that it doesn't require too much in terms of extra work. So we're going to go with a 30-second load. Probably will be more than we need. That's okay. Oh yeah, that's just really nice. 2 more seconds. There we go. That's what this brush looks like with a 30-second load. I'm going to clean up this soap puck. All right, start working this in the bowl. So, Mood Indigo is a song by Duke Ellington, as Mammoth lets us know in the description of the soap. And it's been covered by many artists. It's a blues song. And Ben at Mammoth explained that, you know, the blues aren't really about just sitting around and being sad. One of the things that the blues can do is just to help you know that, hey, you are not alone. And that's his kind of intention and thought process behind this soap. That this can kind of make you feel like you've been in maybe a blues club and you're stepping out late at night, you're tired, but you're feeling good and a little bit less alone. And I think that's a pretty cool thought. And you look up at the night sky, and then this is the scent that captures that whole experience. And we've got a nice early lather going on here. That's just 1 teaspoon of water added. We'll add a second one. Mix for just a little bit. And how you add your water, whether you add a bunch at once or you do it slowly, or you, in this case, what I'm doing is 1 teaspoon, which is quite a good bit to add. And I'm just mixing it a little bit. This is what I did with the first 2 teaspoons. Now this soap might only need about 3 or so, and so I'm going to slow down now. And let me just get a good mix right in here and just see what we have. So what scents are stepping out to us now as we're putting this in lather form? I'm smelling a little bit of that blueberry, a little bit of the rum, and the pepper. Maybe not too much of the oud and vetiver. I think I do need to add just a little bit more water to this. Kind of putting some of this lather that I ended up getting on my fingers, using it to kind of pre-wash my face. And the water is cold tonight because it is winter time. So we got 4 teaspoons now in the lather. I do bring in a little bit of the warm water to turn the temperature into, instead of a frigid cold, turn it into something more like lukewarm. But it's nice to have it be so cold, because if you ever have some razor burn, a little bit of irritation on your face, a cool water rinse that's really cold, man, that is refreshing and soothing. There we go. That looks great. It's not a strong smell. Let's see if it develops as I'm using it. I think we've got it to a good consistency. Matter of fact, let's show you by one of my usual methods. Kind of bring it down to the bottom of the bowl and then scoop it up, kind of half of it, and then pull it up. Notice how it leans over, doesn't support its own weight, but this peak on the brush kind of is slow to move. And I think this base lends itself toward perhaps this kind of consistency. I probably could go thinner if I wanted to, and it would still perform really well, but let's just try the thicker version today. I'm going to rinse my face. Well, this brush feels awesome. Softer tips than the High Mountain White silk that I got from Oumo. Splays probably just about as easy. Similar there. And this feels just a little pasty, so why don't we go ahead and add some water to the brush. And that is definitely improving the lather. You can see what's happening. This is typical. The soap, the lather needed more water, and you can see it come out around the sides of the brush here as I added water, and then that basically caused it to be able to produce more lather because what was on my face was a little bit more concentrate. You can see excess around the perimeter of my face here. You can see excess in the perimeter of the shaving area in my goat. Now look at how nice that is. That's just slowly moving down my hand. That's just terrific. So if you add some water and your soap, your lather does that, then that means it definitely could take that water. You weren't over-watering the lather. If you add water and then it just kind of gets soupy and doesn't rebound like this one just did, then yeah, you, congratulations, you have properly hydrated your lather. And I think in general, very few people are in that company these days. All right, I think we've worked it into my face enough. And again, yeah, look, see, still, we keep making lather. Very good. Let's see how this everyday head does with the Israeli red from Personna. As you can see, I don't have to hold it very close to the head at all. Oh, that's nice. Day and a half of growth, and it is moving through it with very minimal tugging, very smooth. It could be, you know, smoother. There are other blades out there that are smoother, but I'll try this guy on a normal 24-hour shave, and I bet he'll be really nice. And there we go for the first pass. I put another half teaspoon or so in. So total right now is 3.5 teaspoons in the lather. And I'm kind of making that consistent now in the bowl. And I'm thinking about this scent. It's a light scent, but it is sophisticated. There are a few things to it. The pepper, I believe, is something that is, at this point, is standing out pretty good. The blueberry has backed off a little bit, and even in the beginning, if you're thinking it's some kind of sweet, fruity scent, that's, you know, don't even worry about that at all. Even when the blueberry was its strongest, it was just a contributing factor, just helping to give some character to the scent and keep it from being kind of similar to a bunch of the other soaps out there, giving it some uniqueness. So the pepper at this point is noticeable, maybe a little bit easier to discern than many of the other notes. The rum is there, but it's kind of more of the back seat. And I think during the rinse, I was smelling the like the oud and the vetiver. Maybe just the oud. I don't really know. It's not a strong scent. And I think it kind of does what the description says. I think it does a pretty good job of transporting you to something like, you know, coming out of a club or somewhere where you've gone and just you're feeling tired because of the physicalities of the day, and just but you've gone and maybe done a little bit of emotional interaction at the club, in terms of just hearing the blues music and just kind of feeling it, you know, with yourself, and then it's at the kind of at the end of the night. I think the blueberry does give a little sense and link some of those things in with it somehow. It helps to accomplish that mission. Now, it doesn't look like this blade is super smooth with this razor. See, right now I've taken off a lot of the hair, and so the fact that it was a 1.5 day growth shouldn't really matter very much on the second pass. So it looks like maybe this razor blade, in this razor at least, might be one that's got a little bit of a sharpness to it, you know. Not quite as smooth as some others. But then many guys don't really want comfort. They want a sharp blade. And so maybe this is a good Maybe this would be a good choice for them. But it's not nicking me. It's not giving me any kind of irritation so far. So far, very good. That is so funny. Again, during the rinse, I got a whole different part of the experience. I think it's that oud and vetiver down there in the water, splashing the water up on my face. Sometimes I do get a more intense experience with a soap and a lather. But here it's almost like it's just a different facet I'm able to get. And it's almost more sophisticated, more classy, more high scale with that oud and vetiver. You know, you're not getting that, maybe the oud vetiver and maybe a touch of the peppercorn, but not in the same way that when I put my nose in the bowl that I get the same peppercorn. So that's very interesting. How about that? All right, let's put on the third pass. And yeah, 30 seconds was plenty of load time. I've got another 3 passes here in the bowl. Look at that beautiful lather. And you don't have to work the lather in as much on the second and third passes. I just really like the feel of the brush, so I kind of do it anyway. Man, yeah, I've got tons of lather in that bowl. All right, cross grain again. So you can still hear that blade cutting. So it is not settled down. It is still got a little bit of exposure, and it is making the best use of that. Okay, now let's switch directions. Normally at this, in my trouble spot here, I would come cross grain by doing this. I want to switch it around and go from the bottom diagonally to the top. Give my skin a little bit of pulling, and it wasn't super comfortable. I did feel a little bit of tugging there. I don't think I generated any razor rash or anything, but that is kind of typical for that to feel that way. So that is a standard reaction. It's the best blade and razor combos, or maybe my best technique is when I go that direction and it feels good and smooth. Well, so many times when I have this type of shave where I do feel a little bit of aggression with the blade, even on the third pass, then I walk away with a very nice cut. And that's what's happened today. Just pretty much baby butt smooth on my cheeks, and just nothing to see here in terms of length on the stubble there. And as you can see, I did not do an against the grain pass. That's just my preference is not to have that irritation from an against the grain pass. I would get cuts and irritation if I did that. And so cross grain is how I do that. And if I walk away with a cut like this, then I'm very happy. It's really close. I don't see any length on any of those tips. So this one may not have been as smooth of a combination, but it was right in that happy zone, but just right on that efficiency side rather than the smooth side in terms of the feel of the shave. But then when you get to the end of the shave, I don't have any irritation, no redness, and so it did the job nice. Now let's just first of all, before I put on the Tuscany from Stirling, I'm going to just see, do we have any resident scent here from the soap? No, it's very mild, very mild. See if I catch any different notes now at the end of the shave. That is mild. A lot of times when a soap is this mild, I do pass it on to somebody else. But What may keep this one around for me is the fact that there just aren't really any other soaps like this. It's got a great story. It does kind of work with the story. You don't just have a lot of these great elements that I do like the oud, the vetiver, and then mix something like blueberry in with it in a skillful way. I might not even be able to pick out blueberry if you didn't tell me it was in there. That's how nuanced it is. It's just a little hint to give just a little bit of sweetness, because I believe you need that if you're going to contrast it against something a little harsher, like the peppercorn and the oud. Those are more pungent notes. And the vetiver to some degree, I believe. The rum as well. Rum can be a little bit pungent. So I think it was a very good idea to bring in that blueberry to help balance out all these other scents. I don't know what he did for the night sky. I don't know if listing that as an element was just a concept, or if there was some kind of ingredient that he put in that was kind of a clear type. I don't know what, night sky would be. But it does seem like this would go with any cologne, because it's just not strong enough right now on my face to conflict with anything. So Tuscany is a nice one, and I believe Tuscany is one of those that has kind of some spices, and then it's got maybe some orchid notes in it. And to me, the spices and the orchid, and cypress, I believe, a little bit of cypress. And all those together, to me, kind of smell like wild cherry. It's very funny. I thought this was wild cherry for the first 20 times I used it, because I didn't bother to look up the ingredients. Now, interestingly enough, the soap has a much more cypress and spicy kind of smell to it. I do not get the wild cherry type, that sweetness and that flavorfulness. I don't get that from the bar soap. I did buy some of that, and I enjoy it in the shower. But it's definitely not the same scent as the balm. Okay, as you can see, the Stirling has left a little white film, and that is totally normal. That's very common, and it'll be gone in like 7 minutes as I prep and clean up and all that. And you can reduce that a little bit by using a little bit less product, or splashing some water on your face before you put the balm on, if you just absolutely don't like that. You don't want as much nourishment, perhaps. Here's what the brush looks like after a good towel stropping, and it has definitely become a favorite of mine. Nice big bloom, easy display, and really, really soft tips. This blade is still young, and I've put an M on it for Marathon. Unfortunately, I can't really put dots on it. As you can see, this is more of a wax paper type wrapper, which is uncommon with a lot of the blades, but it is the way it is, and I don't have a lot of room to put any dots on it, so the computer will just have to keep track of the dots, and I believe it's the 3rd or 4th shave with this one. So here I am after the shave. I've got the Tuscany on, which is definitely a sweeter type scent, and when I go back and smell the soap, you know what steps up, what comes out are the notes that remind me, interestingly enough, and this just jumped into my head. I wasn't thinking about this, but it is almost a smoky smell, like you might get coming through a club or something like that. So that's got to be that pepper and oud and vetiver, probably a hint of rum. That's got to be those pieces. The blueberry and the sweeter scents have been muted by the Tuscany, I believe. And so what I'm perceiving now is that higher stuff. Interesting little nose journey. And we did stick with 3½ teaspoons of water. I could have probably used 4 with it, maybe even 4½ for the 30 seconds of loading, but as we saw, with this brush, I don't need to do 30 seconds of loading. Maybe 20 seconds would be fine. Well, the handle did well. It does add a good bit of weight to it, and sometimes what that can help you with is the movement through the hairs. a really light razor, you almost have to pull it through the hairs, and you can really feel that drag just because it's coming up against the contact with the hairs. With a heavier razor like Timeless, or in this case, something like this with this big handle, it helps with inertia, and it lets the razor move through the hairs without you necessarily feeling it quite as much. And so the weight of the razor can definitely affect the feel that you have as you're shaving. So in terms of practicalities and everything, I like the way everything works. I could, you know, get funky and get some kind of grinder or something and grind and thin this down so that it fits inside this inset here, and then it would grip more of the head bolt here. So I could do that, but I probably won't. Probably just wait around and trade a charcoal goods handle that's just a little bit longer. You know, there's some other handles out there that are longer than that short maze handle that I have, but shorter than that big torpedo handle I have. All right, well, there we go. That is the shave, and it was an efficient one. A little bit less on the super smooth and comfortable side. It was in the average smooth and comfortable area, with a twist and a lean toward a really close cut, but with no irritation, and that's just the way I like it. So at least that if I'm going to get an efficient cut, I'd like for it to be controlled, and this felt very much that way. This did not feel like the blade was tenuous or I better be careful or it could bite me. It didn't feel like any of that, but I just felt a consistent edge that did give me a really close cut. So I was very happy with that. So this does look like a blade that the everyday could be a smooth razor that can really be tweaked by the kind of blade you use with it. Use something like this one if you have my skin type and beard type and lather type and all that. Then it might give you a more shave on the efficient side. Pick another blade, maybe more uses on it, maybe just a different type of blade. And I believe I've had some of those. Maybe the Astra, I can't remember which ones, that were just really smooth and comfortable while still cutting really well. So you can, with a mild razor like this, sometimes blade choice makes a bigger difference than with an average aggression razor. All right, guys. Well, I hope there's been something in this one to help you guys out, bringing a new soap to you. And as always, this Mammoth Tusk base is superior. I really do enjoy it. And I hope there's other good stuff in this one to help you out. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Take care and good night.